A smart bird feeder sounds like something you might want to tweet about. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin, and with us from Bird Buddy is CEO Franci Zidar. Thank you for joining us, Franci.
Thank you for having me here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Well, tell us about Bird Buddy, what you're all about.
So Bird Buddy ultimately started out as a product, as a smart bird feeder, right? It's a product that allows you to engage with nature in your backyard in a very easy and fun way. But like ultimately through kind of a discovery, a company went through over the past 12 or 13 months now, we've realized that we're much more than that, right? And we're a company that is focusing on helping people reconnect with nature, right? So ultimately, we're all about, giving people the tools that they can easily reconnect with nature and have, smaller kind of moments each day where they engage.
Anecdotally, during the pandemic, I've heard of a lot of people, friends, relatives, who've started putting bird feeders in their backyard who had never done it before and enjoying, since they've been home very often, at least a lot more, or working from home, really enjoying having the bird feeder out there. And so you're taking it to another level here. Tell me how this comes together.
We are, for sure. I mean, at the core, I think bird feeding on its own is very rewarding, right? Just putting out seed and watching birds come and, even maybe not seeing any birds come, but just, coming in the evening back home and noticing that your bird feeder is empty and all the seeds are gone is just that is a super rewarding experience, right? Giving something back to nature. It's something that inherently us as humans, we really want to do, right? And it kind of allows you to do that in a very simple and effective way. But like Bird Buddy does upgrade that experience and makes what we feel like a bit of a merger between bird watching and bird feeding, right? Because bird feeding on one hand is pretty easy. You have to buy a bird feeder or you can build your own, put in some bird seed, and then, the magic happens. It takes a while for the birds to get used to the bird feeder, but, once they do, they're all over it. So bird watching, on the other hand, is kind of hard, right? It takes some time for you to understand, where the birds are, which species those birds are. You have to take the time to go out and actually actively watch them. Whereas with Bird Buddy, we're making that very, very easy, right? So you just put a bird feeder out there, you put some seed in it, connect Bird Buddy to Wi-Fi, and it'll take photos of birds as they land and, as they feed, recognize the species, and fill out this beautiful collection of birds in the app, right? So it's all about kind of giving you some memories, giving you some history of those visits that you normally would miss.
So it's going to tell me which types of birds are visiting the feeder.
Yep, for sure, it will. So it'll take photos, it'll take videos, and then it'll also tell you what species the bird is.
Well, tell us how this all came together for you. You've been an entrepreneur for a while, doing other things.
I have, yeah. For one reason or another, I've always focused on products that have something to do with gamifying the real world, right? So one previous startup that I worked on was about gamifying travel and tourism, and it allowed you to create these awesome kind of location-based stories. Another company that I launched later in life was a company that was all about kind of creating a Pokemon Go as a platform so that anybody could create these real-world games with elements of augmented reality. Like I always dabbled on things that are pretty on the edge, right, of what's technologically possible, which is also a high risk for failure, right? Because it like many times, basically, it's hard to do, and then there was just no product market fit, but it's awesome in terms of technology, right? Having said that, I spent some time in Los Angeles working with Snap actually on one of these previous products, and then came back to Slovenia in 2019, which I'm originally from, and an old friend of mine. In December 2019, drinking a beer, basically just threw out this idea of a birdhouse with a camera, right? And immediately I connected kind of, birds being the perfect Pokemon substitute, right? They're real, right? They're out there, they're super cute, they're all around us. And it's, one thing led to the other. We both got super excited about it. He also has a history of work on mobile games that are, funny enough, very close to the concept of Bird Buddy, and then we started doing a bunch of market research and figuring out if there's an audience for this, if there's a customer, and getting a lot of people excited about birding that previously maybe weren't, right? So it kind of had to happen. It almost feels like, and like one thing that we don't have, but between the two of us, right, is any experience in terms of building hardware products. which is where our third co-founder, which you've mentioned, oddly enough, is named Buzzard, right? So Kyle Buzzard. So in August of 2020, I started going around and pitching this idea to a lot of different groups that are very much in this IoT hardware space, right? And one of those calls was with a group from Chicago called Proto Ventures. It's a group that Kyle co-founded, and he was on one of those calls. It was like 40 people there, super intimidating, but fun at the same time, right? And after that call, he actually reached out to me over email that he loves the product, he loves the idea, and he wants to be a part of it, right? Yeah, it was one of those lucky coincidences that actually made BirdBuddy what it is today. He ended up designing the product, which is beautiful, and is now leading the hardware effort that is happening in the US.
So when are you going to be shipping BirdBuddy?
So we are aiming to start shipping in February this year, so next month, basically. It's been a tumultuous year to build a hardware product, right? I'm sure you've read or heard something about supply chain issues, chip shortages, shipping, delays, and all that. So it's we've had, as a startup, right, needing to kind of figure itself out and put together a team that's capable of executing a project at this scale. And at the same time, meeting all those challenges, it's been quite a tough year. But I'm extremely proud that we are now in a stage where we are very proud of what we've built. Are looking forward to get it to our customers and get their feedback. It's just this last hump we have to get through to actually get products into their hands.
So describe for us what the consumer experience here. You buy one of these, and I assume you're charging up the camera before you put it outside.
Yep.
How long will that charge last for?
So that depends on how you want to use the product, right? It's a modular design where basically there's a battery built into the module. You charge it via USB-C. As you unbox, you first of all have to charge this up. Connect it to your local Wi-Fi, right? So connect it to your home Wi-Fi, and then take it out and actually, allow it to do its thing. The battery, how long the battery will last heavily depends on how a user actually uses the device, right? So it's possible for you to stream video, 24/7, but you'll kill the device in a day, right? So the idea is for the device to wake up, let's say 10 times a day, recognize a bird, take a couple of photos, and then shoot you a notification, or just kind of save that as a history of all of your visits throughout the day, right? So and then you can set it up to do that, 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, 50 times, and depending on the kind of the frequency there, it depends how long the battery will last. Having said that, the way we've designed it and the way we kind of hope will be the standard experience for our customers, like anywhere between 2 weeks and a month is what we expect in terms of battery life, because that also kind of depends a bit on environmental factors, like how damp it is, how cold it is, and things like that.
And I assume there were some engineering challenges here because birds might be pecking at this, and you've got other issues, even squirrels.
For sure. Yeah.
Squirrels can be pretty destructive with feeders sometimes. So how are you dealing with all of that?
One thing is that, like, in terms of packing, the actual device, so the glass that's around the actual camera is Gorilla Glass, right? So it's the toughest glass you can get to put on a device, right? And it should sustain any kind of packing or anything like that. So that's kind of taken care of there. The device is waterproof. It's I think IP67 rated, right? So it means that you can submerge it underwater up to half a meter for 30 minutes, and it should survive. It's actually built to withstand that kind of stress. The housing, like, as well, is built out of materials that should be able to withstand any kind of abuse that a bird or a squirrel can throw at it. Having said that, squirrels can be pretty nasty, right? And we have had a conversation around, do we want to focus any of our efforts in terms of trying to make this squirrel proof, or build in any squirrel repellent features or something like that. And we've like at the end of the day, we turned to our community to ask them that and kind of have some feedback, and it was really split, right? Half of our customers and our audience love squirrels, right? They love to see squirrels as a part of that experience, and then the other half hate them, right? So we decided to go with love instead of hate, and kind of didn't really bother too much about trying to make anything too specific to repel squirrels. But there are things we could do, right? Like, easily we do actually recognize when a bird visits your bird, when a squirrel visits your bird feeder, right? So we do know that it's a squirrel instead of a bird, and we could easily put in there something that, you know, shouts out a loud noise or something like that to scare them away. Again, ultimately, we decided to kind of go against that just because of the, you know, the brand being much more positive and happy and all that, and we want to be inclusive instead of exclusive.
Can it withstand them playing around with the camera and the feeder? Is it mounted so that they wouldn't be able to pull it out and
Yes,
run off with it?
So there's two things to that, right? One is that there's a magnet at the back of the bird feeder, right? So when you put it in, it actually snaps in. It doesn't just like fit in, you know, on its own. And then we're also adding a small screw, you know, with the packaging, so you can actually screw it in. So there's a really kind of small screw here, so you can really, you know, place it in and make sure that it doesn't fall out or is taken out by anybody that, you know, doesn't take some time and is intelligent enough to be able to unscrew the module, right? So we have thought about that part. It is secure enough for you know, a squirrel not to be able to take it apart or take it out. But yeah, like it's one of those things that I'm sure that, you know, once we ship all the units that we've sold so far, we're gonna get some learnings about how squirrels do things, because it's just, you know, it's nature, right? It's something that is we can't predict everything, and that's kind of a part of the fun of the product, right? That it'll be a bit of you know, up for nature to decide what it wants to do with it.
And as far as where the seed goes, does it just go in the tray there at the base, or is there a mechanism that feeds into the tray?
So there's a container at the back here, right? This container actually fills up and is much larger than it looks like, you know, at first glance. There's also a tray at the bottom. So combined, you know, between these two, there's over a liter and a half of space for the seeds, right? And it should take at least a couple of days for you to kind of have to refill it. We've modeled this, like the volume for the seeds, we've modeled against like other popular bird feeder brands, right? So it's not something that's either on the large side or on the small side. It's kind of you know, on the average.
Is there a memory card in the camera?
There's no memory card. This only works if it's connected to Wi-Fi, right? And again, that was a conscious decision made on our part, that we really wanted to focus on that connected experience, right? You being able to get notifications, you know, as you're away from home, as you're in the office, even as you're traveling, right? So let's say you go on a vacation to Europe or wherever, right? You're still able to get those lovely notifications of birds visiting your backyard bird feeder, right? So that was kind of the focus. The SD card is something that we are considering maybe for a future version of the product, right? But it's really it's kind of it's conflicting a little bit about you know, with our vision of for the actual experience, right? How we want this experience to look like. We want you not to have to go to the feeder, take the card out, put it into your computer to actually see birds. We want you to have a bit more of an engaged experience.
So I assume you're not looking at this as a security camera as well. It's not going to recognize people and take pictures there.
It won't, right? So there's a lot of AI in the background happening that makes sure that, you know, what you get really are only pictures of birds, right? We have a couple of different steps in the pipeline that understand, you know, that kind of subject, that can tell, you know, this is a bird, and then even then the AI, so the artificial intelligence part, right, asks itself, is this an interesting bird or is it a not interesting bird, right? Because it's ultimately, a bird can show you, you know, its back, or it can be flapping all around, and it's a super blurry image or something like that. So we have a couple of steps in the pipeline to identify whether this photo is worth your time, right? And then, you know, once it kind of gets to that, you actually get notified, and you can again engage with it, see it, and you know, like it and share it and all that. So you know, it's really only focused on birds, right? And this is how it will remain. There's no kind of you know, reason for us to try to put any kind of security features on top of that.
Terrific. So tell us about where people can go to buy one and what the pricing is.
Sure. So mybirdbuddy.com is our website. That's where the bird feeder is available at. It's $199 for the base unit, right? And then we have a solar roof you can attach to it, which likely will give you a much extended battery life, and maybe even extended indefinitely, right? So just to show you here, this is a blue unit with a solar roof attached, right? So this is the solar roof item. you can put on top, and depending on how you place it, and again, the amount of sunlight that you get, right, it's not unlikely that they'll just continuously power the device, so you don't have to ever, recharge the module. And a bunch of different mounting options for mounting it on a wall, for mounting it on a fence, for mounting it on a tree. So we got you kind of covered there. So yeah, $199, mybirdbuddy.com, and a bunch of different options for you to mount it and use it.
And the solar roof, additional, how much more?
So the solar roof is $59.
$59 to
Yeah.
add the solar roof to it, and
Yeah,
that'll keep it going. Sounds like a really fun product, and can produce a lot of fun images. What have you seen so far in taking a look at the results?
Sure. I mean, it's amazing, right? I think that, so we have a Slack workspace for the whole team, right? And we've sent out a bunch of, I think, the 50 to 60 of these test cameras basically earlier last year, right? To learn about the different species that visit and to have kind of a better understanding of how the product will work, right? And we, like, on a daily basis, we keep getting awesome images in, right? I have to say that it turns out that usually the ones that are the most popular are squirrels, are possums, and are the kinds of visitors that you would not expect, right? Because that's just it's the odd one out, I guess, that makes it that more exciting. But other than that, birds are beautiful, right? It's I've always loved birds, and as a kid, I was spending a lot of summers basically documenting wild bird populations. So that was always of interest to me. But seeing them up close, right, it's a different thing. And seeing all of those colors and a couple of different species even at the same time at their bird feeder arguing, who gets to eat the seeds and stuff like that. It's just it is something special, right? This first person perspective it's just different.
Well, again, the website is mybirdbuddy.com. Congratulations on making this fly, I guess we could say.
Awesome.
Franci Zidar, thank you for taking the time with us.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you very much.